Okay, so let's perhaps start with the session, which is the final session, or the last session before the closing of the conference. Welcome back, everyone, to the session 7, Sustainability of European LT Projects. And we have 3 speakers today. So in addition to me, I'll talk about the sustainability of ELG. Obviously, my colleague Thierry de Klerk, also from DFKI, will talk about the sustainability of the 6 ICT 29B projects. And then towards the end of the session, Philippe Gillin from the European Commission, who you all know, I assume, will talk about the topic of future funding opportunities for language technology topics in Europe. Right. Having said that, there's no time to waste. Thierry, the floor is yours. Thierry, I think you're still muted.
Yes, I was afraid to talk. Thank you. Thank you, Georg. And as you said, I will talk about the 6 projects that were selected in the ICT 29 2018B. And those were the sister or brother projects to the European Language Grid call, which is the call 229A. And I will, in the following short presentation, briefly describe the 6 funded projects and spend some time in the current cooperation with the ELG. Those projects are having. Then present also their sustainability strategies that are sometimes complementary, sometimes immediately transferable to the ELG platform. And since I'm myself involved in the Pretalot project, talking about some specific sustainability strategies that are proper to this project. Next slide, please. So the 6 funded projects, and you could see all of them during the expo, and Gourmet, Elytra, Embedia, Comprise, Bergamote, and Pretalot. And as you can see, they are all dealing with cross-language or multi-language topics, which is at the core of the call, multilingual web. And they are dealing, some of them with translation, some of them with multilingual equivalence, some of them are dealing with speech or other modalities, some of them are dealing with embeddings in machine learning, and also some of them more with the semantic web technologies. So this is a nice selection of projects. And we have had joint telcos in the past, also together with ELG. ELG was always organizing those telcos. So thanks, Catherine Georg, for organizing those exchanges. Next slide, please. So as the call was set, it was clear that there is a cooperation intended between the innovation project ELG, the infrastructure, and more the R&D oriented 6 project I was just describing. So one of the basic cooperation is that those projects are committed to deliver results, being in the form of data, resources, software, or service to ELG. And the aim and the relation to the sustainability topic is that we can host it on a sustainable platform, and we will see in the next presentation by Georg the sustainability plan for ELG, or ELG will continue after the time life of the project. One of the basic technologies we are using there is the containerization technology, in particular Docker, and this Kubernetes. I always have problem for sure to pronounce this one, where the ELG teams is offering a very nice support and very efficient support. And so, for example, our project Pretalot have already delivered such containers, and this is then running on the ELG platform. On the other hand, and this is very nice that we had this industry session this morning, we could also see how the industrial companies dealing with NLP could give data to ELG, but also profit from ELG. So all the data and software and service that will be running on ELG can be reused by current and further or future project or institution or industry. And this is a nice situation that we could achieve a cyclic development of those language data tools and service beyond the lifetime of for example, the 6 projects I was describing before. An important aspect is also, besides those technological aspects on how to port, to export and re-import those data, software and services from the ELG to the ELG platform, is that some groups are developing jointly an infrastructure for metadata. Metadata are for sure very important in order to identify resource, also the condition of use, the legal aspect. Also, this morning, one presentation was stressing the possible role to be played by ELG in supporting sharing data with all the legal aspects that are associated with it. So it was really nice to hear this. So we are working together from the past MetaShare initiative, ELG now, and then the Link Data for LTE community group and the Pretalot project, but we are calling also for more participation for the development and further improvement of the metadata ontology. And here I'm giving the GitHub URL where you can look at the current state of development. Next slide, please. So we had an internal talk within the 6 projects. It's okay, what are your sustainable strategies? What do you aim? And I'm just listing here the most salient points and not linking them to the specific project with specific groups or companies or research institution involved. But the most salient points was for sure that we could integrate results in products of participant industrial partners. So, for example, the Pretalot project of company Semalytics is including in the pipeline, in the workflow, the result of the project. So this is a kind of ensuring sustainability in the marketplace. But not only, and as we saw this morning in the presentation of the industrial partner, you could also address the market at large. You could also get knowledge about other companies or other institutions that could be reusing your data and then establish a cooperation and establishing workflow and pipelines with other companies or with other institutions for releasing, for example, new products or developing new language for a project that a company is delivering. Also, some projects are really stressing the need to have easy to use interface for quick integration by application developers in the future, so that more or less at the level of documentation. A strong commitment also for releasing code through open sourcing, and we also saw this morning at the industry session that some companies are also interested in the limitation within the limits they have, but to provide code via open sourcing and making this available in public repositories. And ELG would for sure be one of those repositories, and but also looking at GitHub and another known infrastructure. So implementing management features, make sure that if a project is developing an infrastructure, a platform, that the management features are clearly described, user management, user reports, etc. And this is also to be done in close collaboration with ELG, because some projects might not be interested in developing their own infrastructure or platform, and then delivering these management features would be very important to ELG. Just to give an example, while we might have 2 or 3 ways to ensure sustainability in this case, Pretalot is delivering service to ELG, but at the same time we contribute to the linguistically open data cloud, which is a very specific development for accessing data in a typical format. And the most important things maybe for ensuring sustainability is to contribute to and comply with standard guidelines, best practices in the field of language resource, language technology, and related fields. And this was also mentioned this morning that, for example, ELG could also play a big role there to host teaching material, disseminating information about our technologies, but beyond the small circle of specialists. Public aiming at more public engagement. Next slide, please. Sorry, and now, as I said, just to stress one project, the one I'm involved in, Pretalot has also a strong interest in ensuring sustainability in the field of, let's call it, semantic web technologies or linked data frameworks. And since we are doing all our workflows are organized along the lines of the linked open data stack, The technological contribution of Red Alert are developing those tools and combining language service and resource, but all within these semantic web technologies, so that all the documentation, all the information, all the management, also all the legal issues are described using the same technologies and the same repetition means as the tools we're producing. So we also want to make sure that metadata, as mentioned before, with also the ELG metadata ontology in the development, that we make sure that those metadata are also offered in a good management structure. So the LinkUp platform, which is a metadata integrator and browser. So we know that so-called digital obsolescence is not only the case that the resources are not there, or the tools are not there, but we don't know how to find them and how to describe them, how to use them, and what are the legal aspects related with it. And a kind of complementary the cooperation with ELG, we're also looking, and this is new to me, investigating the use of peer-to-peer decentralized storage infrastructure. This is something we can have a look at and try to see how we can possibly benefit for this, at least at the level of basic resource like the interplanetary file systems, and how this is related to link data. This is a very specific vision we have there, that we want to address the availability of link data where we have some problems sometimes. And the vision would be that all those technologies dealing with this sustainability are not only valid for linguistic language technology and artificial intelligence, but could be expanded also to other disciplines. And this is my last slide. Thank you so much, Georg, for accompanying me there, and thank you for your attention.
Great, thanks so much, Thierry. My suggestion would be that we continue collecting questions in the Q&A tool. Katrin and Stephanie will be monitoring the tool, and then maybe we can have a quick round of questions after the last presentation and remarks. So let's continue right now with a very brief overview and current state of play of the ELG sustainability plan. So, and want to take a few steps back before we go into this topic. So ELG is meant to be and to turn into the main and primary platform and marketplace for commercial and non-commercial language technologies. We are investing quite a bit of effort and also taxpayers' money into this project, into this activity. Of course, we don't want to stop it after the project runtime, but it's meant to be a sustainable activity, and we need to come up with a plan how to pull this off. We want to enable the whole European community to upload services and data sets into the ELG, to make them available, to deploy them, to connect with others, to help establish the multilingual digital single market. And this also needs to be, of course, a sustainable thing. In order to do this, the required scale is it's not trivial. We need, among others, high availability and performance of the systems, of the different services that we offer. We need things like SLAs for paid services, so that we can guarantee certain uptimes, for example, certain availability. In real industrial settings, we have been thinking about implementing billing and help desks and support systems, etc., etc. These activities create costs. Here you can see the most important chunks of the financial aspect. Cloud hosting and bandwidth, of course, so CPU resources, GPU resources in the long run, memory, storage, etc. For all of this, we need a team to take care of operations, further system development, extension of the platform itself. Accounting and marketing and support are important topics, management, of course, and legal expertise and legal help for the SLAs, maybe for contracts, for GDPR, consulting, and so on. So how can we do this? The only way is to establish a legal entity to really achieve the sustainability that we want. The long-term activity ELG needs to transform into a legal entity. This is an initiative from the European LT community for the European LT community. Right now, we are still supported, of course, by the EU project ELG, We have some additional resources from a national project that we can bring in to the ELG platform development activity, and then from January onwards, there will also be a close connection to the project ELE, European Language Equality. So how can we do this with the legal entity? First of all, an important bit of info. I mentioned this in passing yesterday. I think we extended the project runtime by half a year. You've probably seen this timeline already, which usually ends for a European project after month 24 or after month 36. And the updated timeline is still in progress. So I updated this one just very hastily by adding a number here. So ELG will finish up in month 42, which translates into June 2022. Yeah, so, and by then the legal entity needs to be up and running so that it can take over what I mentioned before. So what are the potential ingredients of the sustainability plan? I have 2 slides with the potential ingredients. This slide is the, let's say, the easy slide. This is all obvious. So we can go maybe monitorize regular ads for companies, for services, for conferences. Sponsored content is always for search engines in the wider sense, is always an interesting little revenue channel, but we cannot, of course, we cannot make ELG sustainable on regular ads or sponsored content alone. So maybe in addition, we can have training events, tutorials, webinars, maybe for a fee for commercial players, maybe for free for academia. Meta Forum and other conferences could turn out to be commercially oriented up to now because of the support from the European Commission for the project. They are usually, no, they have always been free of charge. Maybe this needs to change with the ELG legal entity. We have to see this. If this turns out to be one of the things, general consulting services around ELG and language-centric AI, there are so many opportunities around this topic alone. And many of the partners and the participating companies in the industry session earlier today talked about these as well. Maybe we can help here a little bit. Membership fees if we decide to establish some kind of association, and maybe also project grants for international or national projects. Now the hard ones, because these are hard, not particularly technically hard, but it's difficult to figure out all the different bits and pieces and how to configure this large setup here. So LT as a service, language technology services, can include hosting of services or models or data sets for a certain fee. We probably have to make sure that we can host publicly funded research results available in an open access kind of way, so free ideally, and here we need to make a difference and distinguish between industry and research. For companies that develop language technology, we can offer LT as a service as a primary or secondary dissemination channel to extend the reach of these companies. Yeah, so maybe a company is only operating in a certain region, and then if they are also visible and available in ELG, they have the whole European marketplace or market that they can tap into. We can help with brokering of commercial LT services. Maybe this can be done for a fee. The original idea of the marketplace concept, so brokering of deals essentially between demand and supply. This is an interesting idea, but also we need to be careful to implement this, to pull this off. And for R&D project consortia, LT as a service can also be one additional dissemination and exploitation channel for industry relevant research results. Then we have the idea of PaaS, so platform as a service, which would require a bit more functionality on the backend side of things. The idea of combining European language grid services into actual workflows. This is definitely something that we are looking into with a couple of smaller activities internally. My personal vision is maybe in 5 to 7 years, people will be more interested in workflows that ELG has to offer than in the actual services. Yeah, so maybe the combination of different services into workflows, and then tapping into workflows that will probably be, if my crystal ball is correct, that will probably be something that is interesting to customers. And then the last point here, RAS, repository as a service. We've been discussing this with Marco from Finland, the Finland idea that we talked about the other day, hosting of whole regional or maybe even national technology and resource repositories for a certain fee that would prevent, or not prevent, but that would prevent reinventing the wheel for other teams. We have the European language grid, and we can easily set up, let's say, the Finnish part of the language grid, or the, I don't know, the Estonian part, or the Maltese part, the Italian part, and so on, to host other regionally or nationally oriented repositories. I think this makes a lot of sense. Maybe not for all European countries, but maybe for some, and that would be already great. So for the legal entity, we have a couple of options. Nothing is set in stone here, so I'm still presenting the current state of play. Right now, the clear predominant option that we are looking into is the non-profit company that would have the most advantages here. It's the most realistic idea, with a mixed financing model, which we just saw a couple of components of in the last two slides. The concrete mix of the revenue streams needs to be determined still, and that will be done in 2021. So to sum up, before I give the floor to Philippe, just as a quick summary, the ambition that we have with the ELG project and platform is to develop the ELG into the primary platform for LT in Europe, from the European community, for the European community, with an emphasis on industry. ELG is meant to be the main and marketplace for the European LT business space, and we have ample evidence that this is that we are on the right track here. Earlier today in the industry session, there was lots of interest. Last year at Metaforum, lots of interest from other commercial players. We had various user surveys that showed lots of interest. We had the 2 open calls with, I think, about 60 to 70 SMEs participating in the first open call, now also in the second open call. So I think we can summarize this as that the European LT industry is ready and engaged, and they want to make use of ELG, and they are already starting with this. Yeah, so in the last couple of days, we've already started setting up new provider accounts, and I'm just getting also emails here that I see on the side that new people from new companies are getting the provider role in ELG, so that they can set up their own pages and upload their resources, which is super, absolutely great. So, and the sustainability of ELG as such, the business and operations plan, it's still in progress. Fortunately, we have a bit of time. The project extension bought us a little bit more time. Altogether, we're still in the early stages. We are currently identifying a couple of external experts to help with the several crucial things. We talked to a legal expert on digital topics, on business models, to a business development expert, so that we don't do anything wrong, because we don't have that many options to try this, but only one try, and we want to make it right. So, and we of course will use the extended network and the national competence centers and the IT council and the advisory board to act as sounding boards within ELG, so that everything develops into the right direction. Due to the extension by the third quarter next year, we need to have a good consensus about everything, and then establish the legal entity late next year or early in 2022, so that we can then slowly transform the project into the legal entity. That's the current state of play. If you have any questions, any comments, ideas, additional ideas for revenue streams, either send us an email or maybe use the Q&A tool to ask your question. So that's it for the sustainability of the ELG. We talked about ICT 29B projects already, and now let's look into the future. And I would like to hand over now to Philippe Jolin to talk about what we called in the slide here, future funding opportunities for LT in Horizon Europe and Digital Europe. Philippe.
Yes, George, thanks a lot. I have ideas to share with you on how to help ELG to be sustainable, that's for sure.
Great.
But and so many of them that you will have to select the one that better fits you. I really enjoyed Thierry's presentation for the 6 project so much. It illustrates really the possibility that Europe can offer in terms of services. Okay, I know that these are research projects, but they are really getting closer to market, and I know that they are going to deliver. I'm really impressed by your thorough overview, George, on what are all the possible solutions in order to make ELG survive. And I think that you have understood now that that you should not expect that the money will fall from the sky like that. It is really a project that is important, and you need to find it sustainable. You have not to be depending on this yearly fighting to try to find additional resources. You really need to get multiple inputs in order to be sustainable. One of my worries, to be honest, is basically the cloud operation and the cost it represents. So you have to be able to dispatch this cost to the users. You have to play the mediators, as you basically mentioned as well. And I really appreciate the Finnish aspects, which are basically private-public partnership. It's a nice way for you to be able to transfer and to really deliver. The main message is actually be ambitious. You have to move out of your comfort zone. All of the actors of ELG has done a tremendous work to work outside the comfort zone. If I'm only talking about the big groups, being the academics groups and the private group, you really had to work together in order to build this ELG. And I think that is one of this additional benefit of EU fundings is really breaking silos. That's where I really see the benefit of what we are doing. And this was one of the silos that I think is breaking right now, and is going to provide very important solutions. As you said, by default, the projects are aimed to be sustainable. It's written in the proposal, but it's go beyond that. It's not a business as usual exercise here. You really basically, the European Union needs you guys. It is as easy and as short as that. I mean, right now there is maybe it finished 15 minutes ago. You have the European Parliament that has the Cultural Committee has a special discussion on multilingualism, and they were crying on the fact that they were missing language technologies to support and to keep on working. They are used to gather and to talk, and they have the translator, they have the interpreter supporting them, and they realize that when they are confined in the position, as they are now for more than 6 months, they are in a weaker position because they cannot work as efficiently as before. And language is really a barrier. It's not only an economical barrier, but it's also a social barrier. That language technologies, and ELG is the representation of that, is really breaking right now. And we, as all Europeans, see the importance of it in order to stay as much as possible competitive and economically important during this crisis. Now, for that, you really go to beyond. You have to go beyond the small circles that Thierry was saying as well. You really have to break and to keep on working. If I take, for instance, the languages, I heard that okay, ELG is limited, but you have not to think about ELG as it was contractually enshrined. You have to see as the future. You have to be able to deal with non-official languages. You have to deal with non-EU languages. You have, for instance, there were a call for the African and seek synergy with the African language. Go ahead. I mean, for us, it's important for us to be able to talk all together. We are not only European speaking 24 languages, definitely there is more, if only the 60 languages which are non-official, let's call it this way. But it's also important to place ourselves as kind of a soft power compared to US and China to be able to brand our specificity and be able to sell it beyond the fact that we are really multilingual and we know how to do that. Go. I know it's not, we are not going to do it in a minute's time, but it's really the longer issue. It's really putting Europe in the world map. And really ELG, I'm not kidding, it's really doing that. It's as important. I'm sorry to put the pressure on your shoulder, George, and all the people working on it, but it's that important. So one of the aspects as well is in terms of market and research application. And that's really, yet again, out of your comfort zone. When I'm hearing that it's not only, it's languages, it's important, and we should not seek for too much synergy with the AI groups in terms of research and the like. That's wrong. That's wrong. You have to go, and George, about that, and you are fighting for it, and I will keep on fighting to that. But the merging, and it's not merging, let's hear it from collaboration with all the other research group, and not only research group, you can also see from the business-oriented aspect. Language technology is everywhere. So you have to take benefit from that. It's a weakness point because you do not have a bubble that everybody recognizes. It's actually everybody recognize it and take a piece and bits of that. And you have to sell all of this kind of thing all together. Language technology, the cultural load is damn important. You have to take benefit to make the specificity of it, but you have to go with the mentoring and use all the keywords possible that can help serve your purpose. So basically selling ELG, being from research or being from the industrial aspect. Now, if I go very fast, I'm sorry I'm taking time, but it's important to enshrine this important message in the minds of everybody. If I'm talking about if only the program that we are forcing, if we are looking for Horizon, so the research project, there will be action in safeguarding endangered languages. You have to be there, you have to present it. I hear a little bit the wording for Clarin. I have not time to read the questions, but obviously it is an important actors where we have to develop synergy with the non-official languages, the less used and the like, to seek synergy to collect data and to be able to build decent language technology for the less used languages. We will have action in strengthening data analytics. Data analytics, what is data analytics? If data is half of data is text or speech, data analytics is basically language technologies. Go ahead and try to build synergy with the people, and there is place for that. There is also probably going to be an action on open search, search engine and the like. Well, what is it? Yes, of course, you have the indexation and the like, but ultimately it's still language technologies as well. There will be action in leading AI based on trust. AI based on trust. That's where the fundamental AI research is going to happen. Fundamental research is important. Machine learning is all the basics that language technology is nowadays based on. So you have to work and to be sure to show your case. You have one of the best use case in AI services. So be there and present it. And then you will have also an action in interaction and conversational system, which is basically, obviously, building multilingual, multimodal models in order to improve interaction. That's also a place where to be. And that is only for research. Now, we have, and it's very important for everybody to have it in mind, we have a new program. It's a fundamental new program. So forget basically everything you know about Horizon 2020, FP7, FP6, and the like. Digital program. It's not a research program. It's a big one, but it's not research. It's really to seek and to support industry to be more effective, more efficient, industry and also the administration. But it's really an important program foreseeing for. If you go and have a look at the different topics, capacity building. So basically supporting the data spaces, the gathering of data and the like. There will be there a data support center that will need to deliver language technology to the different data spaces. Who else than ELG can provide it? nowadays, European based. So go ahead and fight in order to get the place and to deliver the solution. And basically providing you a client, potential client for the future of ELG. Well, just a parenthesis. Future step, future client for ELG. We are in December 2020. The program starts 1st of January 2021. Even if it's going to be launched a little bit later, it's basically we're talking about a few months. We are not talking about a few years. So that's one of the problems. It's the readiness of ELG. Whatever the status it is, you need to be able to start selling it by a month or two, in the sense that the call for tenders, the procurements are going to be launched, and you have to be aware, you have to be open your ears and be able to jump on them. Okay, it's going to be, honestly, it's going to be very challenging. There is tons of offer going to come, and it's going to be very difficult to jump on all of them. You have also the cloud to edge, the action that the European is launching on the clouds. Basically, cloud is wonderful, but it needs services. At the services, you are in your portfolio, you are one of the best players in order to provide the services and language technology. And as I said again, language technology is basically half of the, not half of the market of the cloud, of course, but basically 25%. And it's huge. And you have to have the European presence there. We have to. And the AI on demand platform is also going to be supported. And it's also very similar to the ELG. You mentioned several times that there is synergy, compatibility, and you will have the opportunity again to try to merge and to support it. So that's basically, if only on the capacity building, it's there. Now, there is also a little bit more specific things like the accelerating best use of technologies, where you have the Digital Innovation Hub. I don't know if you have all heard about that. Digital Innovation Hub is basically localized. Whatever localized means these days, when everybody is confined and everybody is working in a distance, teleworking basically, or not everybody, but most of the people, there are really local specialized hubs where we are going to promote digitalization. And language technology is one of the best tools to do digitalization. So you need to be there. In your local place, in all the nation will have one. Most of the regional will have one. They will be specialized in one or the other domains, but they will be interconnected. So in order to exchange information. And then you have the common service platform, yet again, another keyword, buzzword, if you want, where you will have the continuation of e-translation per se. So the support to the administration and the support to the SMEs as well, and the public service will keep on doing it. And we cannot, as a commission, keep on providing services as we were standing in. So we need to merge and we need to seek synergy with the private sector in order to deliver more support. And ELG there again is putting its place in the situation, seeking synergy between the former CEF-AT and ELG, the platform of language technology, is one of the obvious moves that is going to happen with the transfer of the different programs. Finally, but not the least, there is the Resilience and Recovery Fund. Resilience and Recovery Fund is a huge amount of money, urgency delivered for the crisis, that is going to be dispatched to the member state. And member states are going to support the development. And I think it's 20% of them are going to be devoted to digital. And out of this 20% of digital, there is going to be different action that the member states are going to do in order to support digitalization of their economy. And one of this part is obviously the support of language technologies. It's important. It's one of the most crucial. Well, I'm obviously convinced about what I'm doing and what all you guys are doing. But it's amazingly important action. But I, as part of the commission, cannot do everything alone. You have to go from your member state as national representative, as the national center that you have established. You have to go and you have to show your case, sell it, in order to explain that your actions is important, not only for the research, not only for the culture, but also for the economy, which is really going down these days. You really need to recover. The word resilience and recovery means what it means. We need to right now, everything that you have prepared, you have to deliver it. as much as you can in order to support the economy, to support the social aspects so that the people can keep on doing. Okay, there is two aspects there where you can help, basically, that we were thinking about. Either you are a multilingual country, and obviously multilingual, supporting the translation between the different actors within the countries, need language technology and it's deploying, or you are a monolingual countries, and then usually you have a risk of disappearing, not being internationally visible. And that's where the tools are also important to say. Now I'm going to stop because I think that I've spoken too much, not too far, but too much. But that's basically, it's a message of hope as well for ELG, in the sense there is a plethora of different tools. And yes, nothing, there is no wonderful nest prepared for the continuation of the 3 year, 4 years of the things. But there is a tremendous need. And that's really a call for you guys to be able to deliver whatever you can deliver as soon as possible and for the future. And I will stop on this point. I know it's going outside of your comfort zone. Huh? It's not easy, but everybody, since a year now, we are all thrown outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah, we're used to that by now, especially after 2020. Thanks so much, Philippe, for your remarks, which have been very helpful, I think, very helpful. I need to process them, of course, and we all need to process them. And then we can look for new opportunities, as you mentioned, next year. Very nice. Thanks very much again. Also, Thierry, thank you very much. My suggestion would be that Franziska de Jong from Clarin, Executive Director of Clarin, asked the question that we've talked about a couple of times in the past, about the relationship between ELG and Clarin. That would require probably a bit more, Franziska, than now the few minutes that we have. We need to reopen that discussion, and we should do it early next year to see what the opportunities are. And of course, it's clear, it's obvious that we need to collaborate more intensely.